Simplification using the greatest common divisor. Eva and Otto are watching a basketball game in which their favorite teams were playing against each other. Otto's team is called Red Cats, and Eva's, the Blue Owls. They know that there are a total of 120 spectators in the gym, and they also know that the crowd is separated into 80 Blue Owls fans and 40 Red Cats fans. Eva asked Otto if he could write the distribution of the crowd in the form of a fraction. Help Otto and Eva. What fraction represents the number of supporters of each team?
Okay, so we see that we have 80 Blue Owls fans out of 120 spectators. So that goes here. And we have 40 Red Cats fans out of 120 spectators. So we can drag this here. And 120 spectators overall. So 120 over 120.
We can see that 80 over 120 is the fraction of the crowd that supports the Blue Owls. On the other hand, 40 over 120 is the part of the crowd that's supporting the Red Cats. Oof. These fractions are made up of very big numbers. Our friends are going to find their irreducible fractions to make it easier. Eva's had an idea. She's going to divide both terms of the fraction by the same number until she can't divide them further. Let's help Eva. Divide both terms by 2.
80 divided by 2 equals 40. And 120 divided by 2 equals 60.
Divide both terms by 2 again.
Okay, what's half of 40? Half of 40 is 20. And half of 60 equals 30. Yep, 30.
Once again, divide both terms by 2.
And 20 divided by 2 equals 10. And 30 divided by 2 equals 15.
Oh, too many divisions. It's so boring. Otto's thought of an easier way to do it. They can find the greatest number that they can divide both terms of the fraction by directly. That way, instead of doing lots of divisions, they'll only have to do one. Help them. What is the greatest divisor that two numbers have in common called?
Okay, so the lowest common multiple, LCM, can't be that one. This would give us a multiple. We're looking for a divisor, so not that one. Common multiple divisor, CMD. No, that doesn't exist. Greatest common divisor? Yeah, definitely, GCD.
Exactly. The greatest common divisor. There are two ways to calculate the greatest common divisor of the numerator and the denominator of a fraction. On one hand, we could look for all the divisors that 80 and 120 have in common and pick the greatest of them, but we'd have to do a lot of calculations. So we're going to calculate the greatest common divisor using prime factorization. We'll start with the numerator. What does 80 break down into?
Let's try this one. 3 times 2 equals 6 times 3. But we know that 3 isn't a divisor of 80, so it can't be this one. And there's a 3 here as well, so it can't be this one. So it has to be this option, but let's double check. 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. 8 times 2 equals 16. 16 times 5 equals 80. Yeah. Yep, it's this one for sure.
Very good. Now we're going to decompose the denominator. What does 120 break down into?
Okay, so 120, what does that break down into? Let's try this one. 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. 8 times 2 equals 16. 16 times, sorry, I think I made a mistake here. 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. 8 times 5, we know, gives us 40. And 40 times 3 equals 120. Yep, this one.
Exactly. To simplify the decompositions, we're going to write the repetition of each factor as a power. With 80, we start by writing the first power, base 2, and since the 2 repeats 4 times, the exponent is 4. Then we press the button to add another power. We write 5 as the base, but since it doesn't repeat, we leave it as it is without an exponent. Now, simplify the decomposition of 120.
Okay, so we have 3 2's, so it repeats. So 2 is the base, 3 times, so 2 to the power of 3. We also have times 3 times 5. Yep.
Very good. Now we've only got one step left. What's the greatest common divisor of 80 and 120?
Okay, what is the GCD of 80 and 120? Okay, so we have to look at the common divisors for both numbers. So there's 2 and 5. And look at the lowest exponent. So the lowest exponent is 2 to the power of 3 times 5. So 2 to the power of 3 equals 8 times 5 equals 40. Okay, yeah, so the GCD of 80 and 20 equals 40.
Exactly. Now we know that the greatest common divisor of 80 and 120 is 40. Now we just have to divide both terms by 40 to simplify the fraction and find the irreducible fraction. Simplify the fraction.
80 divided by 40 equals 2, and 120 divided by 40 equals 3. Right? Yeah, 40 times 3 equals 120. So yeah, 3. 2/3.
Very good. We found the irreducible fraction. To calculate an irreducible fraction, we need to find the greatest common divisor of the numerator and the denominator. The fraction we get from dividing both by the highest common factor is the irreducible fraction we're looking for. Now we're going to do the same for Otto's team. Just like before, we start with the numerator. What does 40 break down into?
Okay. Let's try this one. 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 3. We can't have a 3 because 3 isn't a divisor of 40, so it can't be this one. And since there's also a 3 here, it can't be this. So it has to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Yep. Let's double check. 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 2 equals 8. Yep. And 8 times 5 equals 40. Yep. This one.
Very good. We already know the decomposition of 120. As before, we could divide the numerator and denominator by the greatest common divisor to find the simplified fraction. But Otto's thought of another way to find it. And you don't need to find the greatest common divisor for this method to work. The fraction 40 120ths is the same as writing the decomposition of 40 as the numerator and the decomposition of 120 as the denominator. So now that we've decomposed the numerator and denominator into prime factors, we can start simplifying. A 2 on top is simplified with a 2 from below. Continue simplifying.
2 on top and 2 from below here. We have another 2 on top and 2 from below. We don't have a 3, but we do have a 5, so a 5 on the top and a 5 from below.
Very good. We found the irreducible fraction of 40 over 120, 1/3. Now, Otto and Eva can say that 2/3 of the supporters are Blue Owl's fans, like Eva, and that 1/3 of the crowd are supporting the Red Cats, like Otto. Now you're going to apply what you've learned. Find the irreducible fraction of 140 over 4/100ths. Choose the method you want to use. Divide by the greatest common divisor, like we did with Eva's team. Or simplify factors like we did with Otto.
Let's try simplifying factors. So method 2, like Otto. Alright, so we have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. We have another 2 on top and another 2 on the bottom. We don't have any more 2s, but we do have a 5 on top and a 5 on the bottom. So let's see what's left. So we have a 7 on top left, and then we have 2 times 2 times 5. So 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 times 5 equals 20.
Perfect! The irreducible fraction of 140 over 4/100ths is 7/20ths. Now you know how to find the irreducible fraction of another fraction. You just need to keep practicing.